All right, here we go. I think we're live. Welcome to today's tech lesson, tech how-to. My name is Chris. I am Chris Loves California, and I decided to start live streaming these as opposed to recording them and then cutting them and editing and doing a video. I just don't have time for that. So I thought each day we would have some lunch and go over like a new tech thing. So as you can see today, we are going to take our DJI Tello and we're going to control it with our PlayStation 4 DualShock. We're going to use our iPhone to do that, and we're going to do that through some virtual reality. I have a pair of VR goggles here, so we're going to slide our phone into that and be able to fly our DJI Tello. So this is exactly what you'll need. Right here is the DJI Tello. This is a sort of a micro drone. Has a camera on the front that provides a live sort of first-person view. Right here is its battery. Gives it about 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. It charges over USB. There's a USB charger in the side. And normally, you would control this drone by using your phone. On your phone, essentially, sort of give you those thumbsticks so you can use your thumbs to control the drone over your phone, and that uses Wi-Fi. The only problem is if you're someone who really likes using the sticks, you're comfortable with them, you've used radio control before, using actual sticks is a million times more responsive, just better feedback in my opinion, than using the phone screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect our PS4 controller to our iPhone, and then instead of using the sticks on the screen, we're just going to use our controller. Then we're going to go one step further. We're actually going to slide our phone into VR and be able to sort of fly that way as well. Sort of give that sort of first-person racing view, right? If you've ever watched DRL or some drone racing, that's sort of how they do it. So, as you can see, we have, next on the list is the PS4 DualShock. This is very important to either use the PS4 DualShock or the Xbox One controller. Those are the only two controllers from major game systems that work with the iPhone. You may be able to get a Switch controller to sort of work. I haven't really seen that. And of course, there's some Apple sort of certified controllers like the Steel Series in the Apple Store. But most of us who are into video games have a PS4 controller, or a friend has one we can borrow to try this out. Or even if you don't have a PS4, you can find these used for around 30 bucks. And you can now use this controller with a ton of games on the iPhone. So that's why I said it's really important that you have an iPhone with iOS 13, okay? The iOS 13 introduced the ability to sync up with these game controllers. Before iOS 13, that was unsupported, and there really wasn't a good way to stable connect those things together. So now it's built in, baked into the system. We're going to turn on our controller. It's going to show right up in Bluetooth. We're going to connect it, and we'll be able to control the drone with it. So that's why it's important. More important than what phone you have is that it has iOS 13. So even if you have an iPhone 8 or 7 or even 6, as long as you have iOS 13 on it, you'll be able to connect your PS4 controller. There's probably some real technical limitations on your iPhone when you start going backwards. But this is an iPhone XS Max, and I've connected it successfully many times and used it for games in this. So, and then the next thing I have here, and this is of course optional, but that's a VR headset, virtual reality headset. And this has a tray, and I can take this tray out, and I can then put my phone in it, and then slide that in, like so. And then inside of here, right, we'll be able to then, in sort of stereoscopic vision, see the live view from the drone. It's almost instantly live. There's very little lag. Of course, this uses Wi-Fi, So there's going to be a teeny bit of lag, but it's pretty fun to do. So for starters, here's what we have to do. We're going to connect our controller to our phone. All right. So let's suppose we can do it like this. What we're going to do on our phone is we're going to go into Bluetooth settings. Okay, and I'm going to pull this back up over here, and let's go back in. We're going to go into settings, and then we are going to go into Bluetooth. And in here are the list of things, as you can see right at the top. DualShock 4 wireless controller that is already been connected to my phone, so it's already in there. My watch, of course, is connected, and other things like some speakers and some things I use. So now the trick here is to get your PlayStation 4 controller to sort of get into Bluetooth connect mode, right? There's no obvious button on here like most Bluetooth speakers that you would hit and say turn on Bluetooth. It's actually a weird combination. You have to hold the PS button, and then you're going to hold this option. It is now connected. So if I pull up my iPhone here, you can see DualShock 4 wireless controller is been connected. All right, so that means now I could launch, for example, any supported game on my iPhone, which is most of the games on Apple Arcade. For example, I have Fortnite on here. Fortnite you can totally play with a controller right on your iPhone. So it really opens up a lot of gaming options that you haven't been able to do before. I'm not a huge fan of virtual joysticks on the screen, so having this to be able to play the games is like a huge deal. So it's kind of hard to see, but this has lit up, so that's a good connection there. So now these two are connected. So now we need to make our next connection, which is our Tello to our phone, so we can start controlling it, right? And that happens over Wi-Fi. So on my Tello, here is my Tello. On the side, there is a button. So even though the battery's in, until you hit the button, it's not going to do anything. I'm going to launch this. I'm going to hit this button and put it back on the table. You want to have it on somewhere stable. Obviously, it wants to be level as possible when it starts up. So we're going to do that. We're going to hit power. And I'm going to put it here on my table. What it's doing, it's blinking. It's going through a series of sort of startup operations, making sure everything's okay, making sure everything is running okay. And now I have a blinking orange light, yellow light, which means it's ready to connect. So now let's go back to my phone. I'm going to go back into settings here, and I'm going to go, instead of Bluetooth, I'm going to use Wi-Fi. And under Wi-Fi, I'm going to see that there is my Tello. Now this may break everything. You may lose connection of my phone. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to connect to the Tello. Oh, the Tello has a password? I remember setting a password on the Tello. Oh, man. I don't think I've ever put a password on the Tello, to be 100% honest. Let's pull this back up here. Okay. Well, that was weird. It was asking for a password. You could put a password on your Tello, but I have it pretty much open, so this wouldn't happen because I use this a lot, and I don't want to be messing with that. Okay, so now we have the controller connected to the phone. We have the Tello connected to the phone. So we are so close. Let's launch into our Tello app. Now again, this is an app that you download called Tello, and that's what's going to sort of control the drone. So I'm going to hit that right there, Tello. Let's open that up. And what we should see right there is a live view from the Tello screen. So there we can see, right, that this Tello is now ready to go. And maybe I'll set it right up here so you can see. Okay, that's fine. All right. Now, I have a pretty huge mesh wireless whole system set up in the home here. So because this uses Wi-Fi, there's probably a little bit of interference. This would probably be better done sort of a setting where it wasn't so saturated, but we should be good. I'm going to turn my phone this way, actually. Now, when you use the controller to fly your Tello, it's important to know that there's a few button commands to make some things happen, but for the most part, these sticks are set up just as any sort of drone would be. I always tell students and people that if you can fly one drone, you essentially can fly any drone because they're all basically the same. This stick over here, right, this is going to be essentially your throttle, so this will throttle your engines up and down, which is again going to change your altitude up and down a lot, right? And then this button, this stick right here, when you move it left and right, is stick over here. I just call it the lean stick. It's going to make your pitch go left, right, front, or back. So you can pitch forward, backward, left, or right. Okay. I'm not going to, this isn't like a how-to fly drones, but basically this operates just like any drone. The tricky part is getting it up in the air. For that, I believe it's R1 plus RY plus, that's a tricky one. Shoot. All right, let's go into settings here. We're going to go into Bluetooth controller settings, diagram, and I'm going to pull this up on the screen. There's how to control the drone. That's probably what I should have brought up. Right, so to take off and land, you have R2 plus Y, which is that first one. You can even do flips using the L2 button. And of course, you can take photographs and videos. So again, to take off and land is R2, right, which is this bottom one, plus Y, which is its top one, triangle. So let's say OK. And we're going to hold R2 and Y. Oh, you're lying to us. Nope. R2. I'm going to do it this way. R2 plus Y. Sure. Okay. Well, here's what I've had to do before. Go into our Bluetooth. And we're going to say forget this controller. And maybe I should pull my iPhone up while I do this. I've had trouble because this is probably the first implementation of getting everything to recognize if I don't add it fresh. So just because we're live streaming, I'm going to forget the controller, forget device. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is set my controller back into sync mode, which is PS plus option. And if I do that, it should start blinking. And it should show up Bluetooth pairing request and connected. Okay. Now we're going to look back over at Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is still on Tello. We're going to jump back into that Tello app. Let's see if we're getting a live view. We are. Let's try R2 plus Y. Well, obviously, that worked. What did not work is I have my sort of initial altitude set a little too high for our garage here. So let's pull this back up. And here we go. It looks like the main victim of that crash was a miniature X-Wing fighter. A little worse for wear. Looks like it's going to have to go back to the base on Tatooine and get a little bit fixed up. We are missing Looks like we have almost all the parts. So we'll worry about that later. I'm going to put this on the ground and launch it. So that was my fault. So let's put this back here on the ground. And now let's try launching that again. So we're going to do R2 plus Y. Okay, there we go. Now let's turn it towards me. Alright, and there we go. I can wave high. Now, the Tello is pretty amazing. It uses a pretty fast processor to constantly balance itself using its gimbal, accelerometer, just making sure it's always level. As you can see, I'm not touching the controller. It's not moving very much. The response, I'm going to go into settings, and I'm going to say I want this to be in VR. And you'll notice what happens is that splits the screen, right? So let's go back to this main controller that has split the screen in two. And so what I can do is I can take this, or this is where I knew it was going to get tricky. I'm going to put this back into VR mode. Alright, and then I'm going to put this into my goggles. And the Tello is just chilling there. It is one of the best drones I've ever used. So I just want to point that out, that this whole time, our Tello has been chilling. Okay. Now, we're going to slide this back into... Okay. We're going to slide this back into the headset. So here I am. I'm going to slide that in. Alright, and now I can wear this. Oh yeah, this is pretty rad. Hello! Alright, this is rad. So what we're doing in VR right now, now this isn't really adding anything other than sort of making it hands-free, because when I turn my head, it's not necessarily turning the drone. There's not a 360-degree camera on the drone, so I'm not able to like look around the room. It's more or less just to sort of get it hands-free and add a little bit of a novelty, fun effect to it, right? But I'm not able to like go like this and look around the room because the camera on the Tello is not a 360-degree camera. So again, I can move the Tello and look the Tello around, right? But I think this is pretty exciting. This is like a triple connection going on here. We have Bluetooth, we have this feeding into the computer, which is giving the video. There's a lot of cool stuff. You can see my janky sort of overhead camera up there, which is goofy. So anyways, there you have it. We have successfully connected our Tello to our PlayStation 4 controller and connected that, turned it into VR and the VR headset, and was able to fly. Now I guess I could fly sort of around the house. We can see how far we can. Excuse me, Tello. Alright, now let's see if we can't get out of the house. I'm going to pull this out of VR mode so it's a little bit easier to see. And we're going to pull this up here. Well, a little bit of wind. As soon as we hit the door to go to outside, we bit it. So hold on. Let's bring her back in. All right, so we'll bring this back up in our next live stream. We'll do some more flying around. We'll do some flips. We'll pull that video up. But as you can see, I'm not sure how long this stream was. 21 minutes. I was trying to keep it around 10. So to it, you can do a lot of things. But I've always had a big problem controlling it. So now that you can control it with your controller, makes everything way cooler. So thank you for joining in. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad to be able to start live streaming these now so they can be instantly available. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer as many as I can. And have a great day. So thanks for stopping by. I'll see you later. This is Chris. Chris Loves California. Take it easy. Peace.